Commissioner of Human Rights Commission of Sri Lanka, Professor Fathima Farzana Haneefa, to express her thoughts and of course enlighten you all with how the Human Rights Commission is currently working to protect the women's rights in Sri Lanka.
Our Chief Guest, Dr. Sonali Dhanmiyagala, Chairman of the Commission, fellow Commissioners, Secretary, distinguished guests, and members of the Human Rights Commission staff. We have had a very long day, so I won't take too long to talk about what the Human Rights Commission is doing, but I would like to say a few things because, Swastika challenged us to sort of be a little bit more active in terms of, what we should do. We take you very seriously and we plan to. So, you also, please feel free to, call us and push us if you feel like it's not enough. Okay. So just a couple of things that I want to point out about what the Human Rights Commission has done in the past. Now, the Human Rights Commission has systematically had an emphasis on training its staff as well to be responsive, adequately responsive. So therefore, in I think 2017, we had this huge manual that was done for gender training with the help of UNFPA. And according to that, we have our staff undergo training regularly to be on board with regards to concepts as well as sort of practical application of sort of progressive positions on gender issues. Now, so I don't know if you already know, but we also, the Human Rights Commission initiated the introduction of the Gender Recognition Certificate in 2016. The Commission recommended to the Ministry of Health to issue a circular to enable transgender persons to change their name and sex in their personal documentation, such as the National Identity Card. Now, the HRC had continuous discussions with the Ministry of Health, the Department of the Registrar General, and civil society regarding the gender certificate, and it was formulated by the Commission to enable the change of sex in personal documentation. So, so that happened in 2016, and consequent to that, the Human Rights Commission sort of thematic subcommittees also intervened to recommended to the Ministry of Education to issue a circular to all school principals, directing them to provide required school documents to transgender applicants to facilitate the changing of their names in their educational certificates. So that's a sort of an ongoing conversation. So the issue is not resolved yet. We are still continuing to work to make the access of this kind of certification easier for transgender persons. Then, for the celebration of International Women's Day in 2018, the Commission conducted research and published a report under the title Empowering Women in the Informal Sector. Now, the Empowering Women in the Informal Sector, a Human Rights Agenda for 2018. Now, so the head office and 10 regional officers of the Human Rights Commission, acting under the theme of World Without Her, arranged for obtaining views on challenges and constraints faced and achievements realized by women who are engaged in informal economic fields, such as agriculture and cottage industries. So that was in 2018. So state officials and representatives of civil society organizations were invited by the Human Rights Commission for roundtable discussions, and we generated some recommendations which were also released. Now in 2019, the Human Rights Commission conducted a discussion with women with disabilities from different regions of the country, civil society organizations, line ministry representatives and local government officials to mark International Women's Day 2019. And so there the theme was mainstreaming women with disabilities for a dignified life. So in these discussions, the following issues were highlighted by the participants as particular issues for women with disabilities. I'll just read some of them. So the absence of an effective mechanism to process complaints of sexual, verbal, physical and other forms of abuses suffered by women with disabilities. The need for proper sexuality and relationship education for persons with disabilities, the absence of dedicated facilities and special medical attention for pregnant mothers with disabilities, the need to provide adequate pre- and postnatal care, the lack of effective implementation of the 3% employment quota for women with disabilities, then the access issue, which is always a long-standing issue with persons with disabilities, then the absence of a dedicated mechanism to assist, empower and mainstream women entrepreneurs with disabilities into competitive markets, then as well as attitudinal barriers encountered by women entrepreneurs with disabilities when conducting business. then the lack of vocational training opportunities, the prevalence of the gender pay gap were all identified as issues that were of concern to women with disabilities. Now, we are also, we generally have ongoing programs where we do trainings. For instance, we did training programs recently for PHIs and midwives in Nuwara and Ratnapura for the plantation sector communities, serving the plantation sector communities. Then we did awareness programs for public health midwives in Nuwara and Ratnapura on human rights. So just a little bit about the future. Now, as part of our future work, we are hoping to re-establish the thematic subcommittees, and under the gender subcommittee, we plan to reintroduce the gender focal point and also to refer complaints from women, particularly on domestic violence complaints, and offer support to engage with service providers. So then we are also planning to conduct sort of a wide-ranging research project on the impact of the economic crisis, and we'll do so through the identification of particular thematic areas. And our first thematic area that we plan to look at is the problems and concerns of contract workers or manpower workers who work in the trade unions. And we hope to work with Chandra Tushari in taking that forward. So, so we are also looking at further disaggregating our complaints, complaints, the way we sort of like classify our complaints, that will reflect a better understanding of how gender issues are reflected in those. So yeah, that's it from me. I will leave it for the conclusion now. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Madam.